Hey there, fellows. So in today's episode, we want to experiment with something you'd find inside a car called a battery. They cause all sorts of issues, either when they freeze or go flat, or don't get enough charge. But then, I'm sure there are many car enthusiasts out there who have experienced issues in cold weather, and not just in cold weather. I remember once I had a motorcycle and I was in a big hurry, and I forgot to strap it. And as soon as I gunned it, the damn thing obviously fell out of its compartment. And what's that gonna result in? Correct. The casing was damaged. The electrolyte dripped out. I remember I tried to fix and solder it. Couldn't really get the battery to work after that. Anyway, so here's what I suggest we do. Breaking a car battery really isn't that hard. Sometimes the handles fall off, Sometimes you can pop one by just dropping it from not even that big of a height. Yeah, that sucks. Anyway, so what we got here are batteries of an older type. Nowadays, you've got way more modern designs that do not require maintenance. Do anything you want, they'll just keep working. Maybe this one will too? And we're about to find out. So here's the idea. The reason we got two, well, in order to compare. And this is all going to be very simple. We won't be overcomplicating things. One is a regular acid battery, the other is AGM. I guess we'll start with this acid unit. And I'm going to grab an axe and chop the thing in half with the axe. Then we're going to try reviving it. Then we're going to do the same thing with this AGM type battery. As in smash it with an axe in the exact same spot. I'm gonna chop it in half as well. And then try and find some kind of makeshift way to get the internals reconnected again. All of the connections between the sections, there should be something in there, right? Fit it to a car and try starting it. Okay, let's experiment and figure out which of these two batteries is better. Or they might just be the same. Let's do this. Right, so we've got the regular acid unit in there, let her rip. It started up well, I like that. This battery has got plenty of juice in it. Start the engine. Same story, it's also happy to turn the engine. It has the capacity and the power. What's wrong with the engine, though? Yeah, switch it off. So everything is looking good. One battery works, so does the other one. Now we get to the destructive phase of our testing. Chopping a car battery in two shouldn't be hard in the slightest. The wife personally never tried it before, to be honest. Yes, this is sacrilege, but it's all in the name of science. And so let's get to it. Okay, so I'm outside. I've decided not to do this inside our facility. I don't want the floor to be covered in acid. I've got me a pair of gloves, and to prevent acid getting onto my face, safety first. Right, so smash it in between sections. Oh, I can hear it sizzling, holy cow. Something might have short-circuited. Let me just... Now hit it in the middle. Nah, that's not even the middle. Don't know what that is. But I need to finish the job. That is terrific. And it's crumbling to bits. The idea here is that we had one battery, and now we have two. Whatever, let's see what we got inside. Okay, the positive terminal is marked. So is the negative. So here you had the bridge, then the array of plates, and on that side. And so the connection was running through the plates? Anybody know how this works? Anyway, if that's how the connection was set up, here's what I suggest we do. Our best bet would be bridging these two halves. I don't see any other way to do it, so yeah, let's get them connected. And once that is done, no point even measuring the voltage. I think we should just fit it to a car right away and try starting it. Let's go. Okay, so we are looking very good here. We've chopped this battery with ease, it's all good. And whatever was left after I was done with that, I've gone ahead and connected with that strip of aluminum that I cut out for the purpose. It's sitting on self-tappers, and we should have a nice and healthy connection. But let's see what the actual situation is, let her rip. Really? But how, though? Switch it off. Start it. That is... I don't even know what to make of it. I mean, it's missing a section, meaning it's working on just the 5, even though the plates are still moist, and we connected the strip directly to the terminal on section 2 or say 3, I'm just baffled. Let's give it another try. Right. Now I just want to try and take a measurement. How, though? The alternator obviously works, it's producing 13.6 volts, which isn't all that much, but... Switch it off. If this were a whole battery, it would have been receiving 14 and change for sure. But here it's 13.5 and the alternator must be having a great time. But let's have a look at the voltage now. 3 sections should mean it'll produce 6 volts. Yeah, I'm seeing 6.8. What about these two? 4.5 volts. So apparently, wait a second. I was about to try and calculate it, but why when I can just measure it? And so we are looking at 11.2 volts. Goodness, and that's with just 5 sections. That is one hell of a result. Okay, so here's the situation. When your battery is being used in a car as it is intended to be, and God forbid something like this happens to it, well, it's going to want you to take it in for recycling and go to a parts shop to buy a new battery. But in our case, by some miracle, this one is still working. And that is quite nice. And with it being so stubborn, you know what we should try? Something a bit cheeky. I'm going to undo this, here we go, terrific. Now I take this half, and yum. I was looking for the best battery in the entire pile, and this seems to be it. As for what I want to do, why don't we try cutting it like this now? We've cut it from top to bottom. Now let's slice it from side to side. I'll chop the bottom off of these 2 sections. And we'll see how it works after those sorts of mods. Okay, let's take this outside. Alright, here goes nothing. Whoa. It is really not that easy to chop. There are a bunch of plates. Now that I wanted to avoid. It is what it is. An experiment is an experiment, no matter which way you slice it. It is fighting back hard.
Ага. Все.
There we are, the deed is done.
Сделал. Так,
That we're gonna clean up.
Ну. Пока
While
машину
it's still
здоров,
got some life in it, let's go fit it to a car.
дайте его на машину. Ставить яйца.
There we go.
Так,
Okay, so it's in place, everything is looking good.
Замечательно.
Try it out.
Ага.
That's a wrap then?
Да?
Yeah, please continue.
Давай, давай. Ну,
It is trying maybe a bit of manual assistance.
Помогу. Так, ну. О,
Come on now.
где?
Hit it.
Давай.
The belt has barely got any tension in it. It is trying to do at least something,
Смотрите. Так, ну,
but this was to be expected.
этого и стоило ожидать.
Okay, so here is where we're at with this.
Смотрите.
Once the electrolyte exits,
Электролит покидает. Ну,
well, we're completely missing one section,
банки вообще
and two are devoid of electrolyte.
без электролита.
Not to say that they're totally dry, but they're very close to it.
Он же весь
In any case, given that some of it still hasn't dripped off, and in theory, I mean,
по чуть-чуть
you would have seen the engine trying to turn, meaning the battery wasn't completely dead. And since we've already measured the voltage before,
Значит, надо сделать.
might as well measure it again.
Вот сейчас напряжение
And so we are looking at 10.2 volts.
Все, то есть. Ох
But
ты,
look at that, it's increasing.
смотрите.
It was at 10.25, now it's at 10.26. Awesome.
Круто. Так,
But with how much electrolyte it has lost, the engine isn't turning over.
электролит. В общем, электролит
Now the plates are soaked in that electrolyte, which is required for, well,
как, говорят,
smart folks say that they are the chemical source of current.
сейчас мы видим, что
As we can see, there is some voltage, but no current. I mean, there is a bit, enough to maybe power a light bulb,
уже
but not enough to start an engine.
крутится.
So what do we have next? Well, in this case, we experienced loss of electrolyte, but then we literally hacked off one of the sections.
Банку, и он всё ещё
But the battery still worked, which is pretty cool.
круто. Но
As for what the difference is between AGM batteries and regular ones,
простых. А в том, что
we were told that inside an AGM-type battery there actually isn't any liquid electrolyte, supposedly.
в жидком виде вроде как нет.
We've never torn one apart, so we can't say for sure.
Правда это или нет?
But we have this here AGM battery, so we chop it, and if there's no electrolyte, that means nothing is going to drip out of it. Right? Right. Make sure to play it safe, because the electrolyte from that other battery was splashing onto everything. I feel bad destroying such a good battery, but oh well.
Так. Ну,
Better not leave it in there for too long, to prevent short-circuiting. Yeah, there are no splashes.
прыгает, а? Ага. Так. По системе.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it around.
Разворачиваем. Так. Оп.
Oh wow.
Все.
Okay, so I've
Раз.
broken it,
Я его.
and you'll notice that nothing is dripped out.
Вообще.
What an interesting material.
Интересный. Видите,
Can you
да?
see it?
Между
Between the plates, it is a bit moist, but not a single drop has come off,
не капнуло.
which is nice.
Хорошо. То есть,
So it was all true after all.
и это радует. Давайте это
Let me just remove any excess material
уберем.
so that it doesn't get in the way.
Не мешало. Так,
What about this? Stuff has fallen off. No surprise there, I guess. That we probably won't need, but that I'm just gonna leave alone,
пускай остается.
if it refuses to peel off.
Так.
Now we take the two halves.
Новиночки. Пам-парам-пам-пам. Ты куда, говорит?
So you went to pick up a couple of batteries.
За двумя. Ага. Так, все это дело сюда
We
мы
place them
сейчас
here like so.
ставим. Так, полюс
That's the positive side, that's the negative.
минус у нас. Вот он. Надо саморез покороче.
Grab a shorter self-tapper and away we go.
По такой же.
Using the same method as before, terrific.
Отлично.
And on this side.
О,
Excellent, so that lovely strip of metal plus two self-tappers
волшебных саморезов.
allowed us to connect the two halves. We've got everything hooked up, now we can fire up the car. Go for it.
Давай. Ну,
So this situation would be very familiar. The regular battery also worked great when chopped in half. You may start it. With zero trouble. How does that even work? Okay, let's have a look. That is 4.19. About the same as on that other one. Okay, what about this half though? What's the voltage gonna be? 6.28. Pretty much the same readings as on that other one. And that is very nice indeed. Okay, here we go. Well, this one is much easier to chop. That's nice. Oh, I can see sparks. That I can... Nope, can't remove it yet. Give me that, damn it. There we go. Wouldn't want to damage the concrete, so... That's much better. And we're done, excellent. Nothing is dripping out. Let's go install it. Almost done on my end. Are you good over there? Yep. Everything is excellent. Okay, let's try this out. I just don't get it. 10.3? Doesn't seem like a lot. Start it, please. Give it some gas. You can ease off the throttle. 13 volts. Well, 13.2, 13.3, 0.4. 13.5 and climbing. 0.6, 7. It's actually charging amazing stuff. So apparently, the voltage has dropped down to 10 volts without any alternator amplification. But the output is 10 volts, and that's enough to get the engine to turn over. I mean, it's generating enough current for the starter motor to freely turn the engine and get it to start. It looks to me like these AGM-type batteries really have nothing to lose then, as they're not filled up with fluid like the one we were playing with before, that other lead-acid-type battery. When a battery is filled with liquid electrolyte, even minor damage to the casing might result in it dripping out, rendering the battery unable to perform. It won't hold a charge as well, and it won't give you enough current. Let's connect these bits. Excellent. This is just superb. Yo, Sergey. What? Get over here, start the engine. Let's see what happens. I've made a sort of Frankenstein battery, half lead acid, half AGM. Come on now. You're scaring me like that. Try again. I've moved it away from the fan blades. Superb. Switch it off. Start it. Off. On. What sort of magic is this? Almost got up to 13 volts. We're seeing a different result and switch it off. When we had the other AGM half, it was happier to receive a charge. In this case, it doesn't want to receive any more than 12 volts. Curious as to why that is, tell us if you know. I'd say this has been a 107% success. Turns out you can chop a battery and it's still going to be able to
Мотор
get a car to start, and with utter ease,
легко.
without even breaking a sweat.
Еще раз скажу, я не
I just don't get it.
это происходит в гараже.
When this sort of thing happens in a garage, or when you're out and about and an accident occurs,
Сразу же работает. Ну, буквально
10 minutes later and it won't turn the engine, won't take a charge. Here though,
ничего с ней не происходит. Но тут же
I've chopped these and it does take some time to get prepared.
готовить надо. Да, пока
To bring it here, install it, wait for any leftover liquid to drip out.
оттуда. Блин,
The entire process takes about half an hour, but the battery still works afterwards.
вот здесь вот ВГМ
Obviously, with the AGM, you don't have to wait for anything to drip out, and I've actually never seen what's inside of one.
находится внутри, ну,
There was just never any need
и
to chop such a battery in half,
тем более они...
especially since I've heard that these units are top-notch,
как их
the so-called gel batteries. And after we've chopped one in half, we've learned that it indeed does not contain any electrolyte.
гель, который находится,
You have that gel permeating a special material, nothing is dripping out,
ничего не капает,
and so this sort of battery would do much better if the casing were to be damaged.
себя чувствовать намного...
Yeah, that would certainly be the case.
Да, так и скажем, намного.
It'll continue to work much better than a traditional battery that contains a regular old electrolyte,
Больше,
of the so-called lead-acid type.
внутри находится обыкновенный электролит.
Anyway, this experiment has been a 107% success. We've chopped some batteries in half and both of them worked. In the case of an AGM, you can slice the bottom off and it'll continue to work, as nothing's gonna drip out. Yeah, this experiment has been a tremendous success. I was actually quite surprised by those results, but hey, you know, I expected a chopped battery to go in the bin, but these two actually worked. I mean, how? Anyway, watch us, subscribe, send in your suggestions, comment, give us a big thumbs up. Alright, catch you later.
Пока.